Hello, Roland Warren here. Ever since I joined CareNet nearly 4 years ago, I've learned that there are some myths floating around out there about the beliefs and actions of pro-life people and organizations. Now, some of this is our fault. Sometimes we have not done a good job of articulating how comprehensive and life-changing our work is. But a lot of it, unfortunately, is due to the fact that well-funded pro-choice organizations are involved in a concerted and intentional effort to spread falsehoods about pro-life people and pro-life organizations. We see these mythical beliefs played out every day on CareNet's Facebook and Twitter page, where folks question what we say or do based on some patently false beliefs that they have about us and about our work. So over the next few live chats, I'm going to break down some of the common myths about the pro-life movement and hopefully shed some light on the facts. This is really a MythBusters section. The first myth is that the pro-life movement is pro-forced birth. In other words, our efforts to overturn Roe v. Wade, promote life, and reduce the number of abortions is equivalent to encroaching on women's rights and forcing them into actions that they would not otherwise take. There are several problems with this line of reasoning. First, society daily forces women and men to do things that they would otherwise not want to do. I may want to drive 80 miles an hour on my way to work, but the state of Virginia says I would be a reckless driver for doing so. Newsflash, these things are called laws. The entire point of civilization is to restrict people's choices when we feel that those choices are harmful to ourselves and others, especially those who are vulnerable. So the question should not be, is the pro-life position imposing legal restrictions that curtail an individual's choices, but rather, is there a compassionate and logical reason for those restrictions? After all, I would not go around calling the speed limit a pro-forced slow driving law. So, when looking at the unborn, what logical distinction about personhood exists that protects a child after birth, but not 5 minutes prior to birth? Is the child who is 26 weeks old, but in its mother's womb, less of a person than the one who is lying in the NICU after being born prematurely at 26 weeks? The child in the NICU is arguably more dependent as its lungs are not able to operate on their own. Yet few would support a mother's decision to end the child's life once it's born, even if born prematurely. If the NICU baby deserves protection and the best medical care available, why doesn't the unborn child deserve the same? You see, if a woman should have the right to end the life of a child due to financial concerns, social pressures, a lack of support, why does that right suddenly end when the child is born? Financial burdens do not decrease with birth. They actually increase as the mother now has to pay for diapers or daycare or clothes and other goods. If pro-life advocates are pro-forced birth, then anyone who forces the mother to keep her child after a difficult pregnancy is pro-forced parenthood, right? You see, without a logical distinction between the personhood of the unborn child and the infant, the safety and security of all children is in jeopardy. Any attempt to argue that the unborn child is dependent on or a financial burden on the woman and thus not a person would then apply to born children as well. Ultimately, the desire of pro-life people is not that we want to force women to do what they wouldn't want to do, but rather that our social values change to the point that women would no longer desire abortion. The second myth is that the pro-life movement does not care about women, just babies. This myth can be summarized by the pro-choice rhetoric that says that pro-life people and organizations prey on the poor and minorities by forcing them to have costly pregnancies and then ignoring them when they struggle to provide for their babies. But when one looks at the track record of pro-life pregnancy centers alone, such as CareNet's network, reality tells a very different story. CareNet's most recent study of its affiliated pregnancy centers found that they provided more than 142,000 clients with baby and maternity supplies, and 734,000 clients with sexual health and parenting education. This survey showed that overall CareNet provided more than $56 million in free services. Moreover, in the last 2 years, over 97%, that's 9 out of 10 women who visited a CareNet center reported that they had a positive experience at the center. So stories of women walking away from pregnancy centers feeling deceived and uncared for are not based on real data. The entire pro-life movement is rife with examples of people and organizations providing comprehensive care and support to women and their families. From post-abortion counseling to efforts to make abortion clinics safer, both efforts that pro-choice people resist, the pro-life movement is truly looking out for the well-being of women. In fact, not only do we care deeply about women, but we also care deeply about men too. Our desire to serve and support men is driven by a pro-abundant life perspective. As an organization, we are moving beyond just being pro-life. We want to be pro-abundant life in not just our rhetoric, but in our programming as well. Why is it so important that we recognize fathers when talking about abortion? Because for starters, we know that the research shows that women who've had abortions report that the father of the child is the most influential factor in her decision. We also know that about half of all women who have abortions report that the reason for having the abortion was that they did not want to become a single mother or they were having relationship problems. And 3 out of 4 women report that not being able to afford the baby was the reason for their abortion. And we know that a lack of financial resources is often tied to the lack of support from the baby's father. Indeed, pro-life writer Frederica Matthews Green, who was once pro-choice, was spot on when she wrote, "There is a tremendous sadness and loneliness in the cry, a woman's right to choose. No one wants an abortion as she wants an ice cream cone or a Porsche. She wants an abortion as an animal caught in a trap wants to gnaw off its own leg." Wow. Either way, ignoring dads means ignoring a huge part of the decision-making process that women go through and the support that they need and want. Moreover, it ignores the real struggle that men themselves have with abortion. So we need to be doing at least 3 things when it comes to fathers. Encouraging them to play positive roles in the pregnancy decision, helping them to get the skills that they need to become involved, responsible, and committed fathers and husbands. And in cases where they are hurting from past abortion experience, providing them with healing support. For our centers, the cause of life compels the protection not only of the unborn, but the mothers and fathers as well. We understand that all women and men need compassion, hope, and help when facing pregnancy decisions. During the next live chat, I will cover 2 more myths about the pro-life movement, including the myth that the pro-life movement only cares about babies in the womb, but disregards their needs when they're born. Until next time, may God bless you daily as you serve Him faithfully.